Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Mr. Nerman, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Arias, a few moments ago, you were telling us about when you arrived at Mr. Alexander's home after 4:30 in the morning, that you went into, initially met Mr. Alexander in his office. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit, entered as exhibit number 40. Is that the office to which you were speaking of meeting him?
Yes, the door would be to the right.
Okay. And exhibit 36, is this also, is that also the same office?
Yeah, that's from the doorway where I was standing.
Okay, so the vantage point there is from the doorway, you walking in exhibit 36, and Mr. Alexander was seated with his back to you at the desk?
Yeah, there's a desk. Behind this desk, there's another desk, and he was at that desk.
Okay. And Ms. Arias, I'm going to show you what's been entered as exhibit number 33. You mentioned earlier a punching bag. Mr. Alexander punched in front of you and slid down the hallway. Is that the punching bag speaking of?
Yeah, he punched it around the room, not just the hallway.
Was it noisy when he did that?
It made a pretty big impact.
Okay. And Ms. Arias, before we took the break, we were speaking about the fact that when you woke up from your sleep, Mr. Alexander woke up, I should say, that the two of you had sex. Was it just a matter of having sex, or was there more to it than that?
Both, I guess. It just depends on, we had sex more than once that day.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, you said the more to it. What happened after he woke up and said that he wanted to have sex? What did you do?
He wanted to tie me up. Again, he had done that once before and it didn't work out. So it didn't work out because the rope he had was actually like a twine. It was very scratchy and it hurt my wrist. So he had a different rope this time that was a smooth rope. It was like a decorative rope. I don't really know how to describe it. It was green and gold.
Let me ask you this in terms of description of it. Let me show you what's been marked as entered, as Exhibit 268. That look like the rope you're describing?
That is part of the rope, yes.
That is?
Yes, I would, yeah, it is.
Okay. And so we have a vantage point on this showing you Exhibit 269. That appears to be the stairs, some stairs, correct?
Yes.
Did Mr. Alexander have more than one set of stairs to his home, in his home?
Just one set. Well, unless you count the steps, but just those.
And where did those stairs that we're seeing in Exhibit 269, where did they lead?
They led upstairs to the other 3 bedrooms. Well, there were 3 bedrooms and plus the master and the loft.
So Mr. Alexander's bedrooms as well as the other bedrooms. Is that right?
Yes, his is on the left at the top of the stairs.
What's that?
His is on the left at the top of the stairs.
Okay. So this rope, this smooth tannish rope that we just saw, he ties you up with it? Is that correct?
He did. He tied me up.
And when you said he tied you up, where did he tie you up?
The bed.
And what did he tie you up to the bed, or just explain to us what he did?
No, his bed is a sleigh bed, so it doesn't have like posts or anything to tie the rope to. What he did is we measured out, it was a really long rope, it was all wound up. So we unrolled the thing, it was almost from the length of the bedroom into the bathroom, and he measured it out and cut it in the bathroom. And then he created 2 nooses at the end of the rope for my wrists and slid it behind the back headboard of the sleigh bed so that when you pull it, it's like you're tied up. But the nooses weren't so tight that I couldn't slip out of them if I needed to.
Did you want to be tied up?
It's not my favorite, but it's not unbearable.
He wanted to tie you up.
Yes.
And based on what you said, you could bear it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I could.
So when he ties you up, are you clothed or at all?
No.
When he ties you up, is he clothed?
I don't remember when his clothes came off, but no.
Okay. He wasn't clothed when he tied you up.
I think he might have had his garments on, but his clothes came off.
And by garments, what do you mean garments?
The temple garments that are worn top and bottom. They're worn by some members of the church. They're worn all the time, typically.
So to your recollection, when he ties you up, he's wearing his sacred garments, right?
I believe he was still dressed in those, yes.
Okay. So you're naked, you're tied to the bed, and just so we're clear as well, are your legs bound or just your hands?
Just my wrists.
Okay. What happens next?
He wanted to give me oral sex.
He wanted to give you oral sex?
Yes.
Miss Arias, is this hard for you to talk about?
Objection, relevance.
Approach.
Are these sexual subjects difficult for you to talk about?
Yes, this one particular.
What's that?
Yes,
But you said something else.
this one in particular.
Why?
Because of how the day ended.
Okay. So you say that he wanted to perform oral sex upon you. Did you allow that?
Yes.
Why?
Because we were doing that consensually.
Because why?
We were doing that consensually.
Right, I understand that. But given where you were in your relationship, why was that okay with you? Because it had happened before?
I guess because I was still monogamous when it came to who I was intimate with, and it was still the same person.
Did you not feel like you could say no?
I might have been able to, but that didn't really cross my mind.
You didn't want to incur his wrath, right? Were you scared of incurring his wrath?
I was more worried at that point about disappointing him. He seemed very happy to see me the night before, and I wanted to go along with what he wanted to do because it just...
Because why?
He liked those things, and I mean, typically I liked most of those things, but that's why.
Okay. So your wrists are bound and he performs oral sex upon you. Do any other sexual acts take place while you're tied to this bed?
No. I asked him to stop because he hadn't shaved and it was scratchy.
And did he stop when you asked him?
Yes.
After he stopped performing oral sex upon you, what happened next?
Oh, we ditched the rope idea because I don't know, it wasn't doing anything for me. I don't know about him, but
Before you move too farther, you say you ditched the rope idea. What happened? What happened to the rope? How did you become untied from the bed, and what happened to the rope?
well, I was able to slip my wrists right out of it, so I did that. We took the rope from behind the headboard and tossed it on the carpet for the time being.
On the carpet near the bed?
I don't really remember. Somewhere more toward the dresser.
This rope, when Mr. Alexander before he tied you to the bed, I think I neglected to ask, did he have to cut this rope?
Yes.
Did you observe him do that?
Yes.
To your recollection, where did he do that?
He cut the rope. He measured it out somehow in the bathroom because it was really long, and I was holding one end in the bedroom, and he rolled it out on the other end. And he cut the rope in the bathroom, and then he tied me up after that.
You saw him cut the rope. How did he cut the rope? What did he use?
He used one of the knives from his knife block in the kitchen.
Do you recall once he cut this rope where he placed this knife?
It would have either been in the bathroom or maybe he brought it back to the nightstand.
You don't recall which?
I don't recall. It would have been one or the other, but I don't recall which specifically.
Okay.
There are a lot of gaps that day.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
There are a lot of things that I don't remember that day.
Okay. moving back to the part of the story where he unties you, or you ditch the rope, as I believe you said. What happens next?
At some point there are pictures, but we also had regular sex also.
You said at some point there were pictures. Do you recall? And was before we go too far, I should say you said regular sex. What do you mean by regular sex?
Like regular vanilla sex.
Regular.
Like just vaginal regular sex.
Okay.
Nothing too out of the ordinary, just normal, you know.
Okay. Do you recall if that was before or after the photographs that were taken?
I don't recall, but I think it was after. I'm pretty sure it was after.
I want to show you some of these photographs that had previously been admitted, beginning with Exhibit 168. Can you see that there in your monitor?
Yes.
Your hair, the hair on your head. How would you label that particular style?
Braids.
Why was your hair in braids that day?
He liked my hair in braids.
What was your understanding of why he liked your hair in braids?
He just said it was hot.
Showing you Exhibit 164. Can you see that? Can you look at that? Is it hard to look at?
Objection. Not relevant.
Sustained.
What do you think about when you see that picture?
Objection relevant.
Goes for a state of mind on the day.
Overruled.
What a stupid idiot I was.
When you were posing for that picture, I guess you'd say, was this something that you were comfortable doing?
It felt awkward.
What's that?
It felt awkward.
Why did you do it? Why did you participate?
He got a new camera that he was excited about and he wanted to play around with it.
And playing around with it meant taking these pictures?
Yes.
What was that, Miss Arias?
Yes.
Referring to the picture, it appears that there's no pubic hair in this picture. Why?
Travis didn't like hair. He didn't even like it on his own body.
So you removed it at his request?
Yes. I had a...
Objection. She says there's a question.
Showing you what's been entered as Exhibit 165. You take a look at that. Was it your idea to pose for that picture, or did Travis suggest that that take place?
He suggested all the poses.
Is that something you really wanted to do?
That was not my favorite part of the day. No, I didn't want to do that. But, I mean, I didn't disagree.
You didn't voice any disagreement. Would that be a more accurate way of putting it?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked Exhibit 169. Is this also a picture Travis suggested?
Yes.
And you complied with his suggestions?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that he was directing you what to do and how to pose?
Yes.
And you did this, you posed in these positions. Well, why did you pose in these positions for him?
He asked me to.
That's it? That's all it took?
I'd sent him pictures before on my phone, but they weren't like those. So he was being the photographer this time.
Did you ever express to him that you didn't want to take pictures of this nature?
On prior occasions, I did express that many times.
But not this occasion?
No.
Was he happy when you were allowing him to take these photographs?
He seemed a little bit thrilled.
A little bit thrilled, is that what you said?
He seemed really into it.
Okay.
I don't know if happy would be the word, but he was into it.
Okay. Did making him happy on June 4th, 2008 make you happy?
I don't know. I don't know if happy would be the word.
What was the plan with these photographs? Were they to be kept? Would they be deleted? What was the plan?
He wanted to take them, review them, and then delete them.
There were a few other photographs found that day. Drawing your attention to Exhibit 167. Actually, let me draw your attention looking at in time to Exhibit 166. Can you explain what was happening when this photograph was taken?
Yes, he wanted to get a picture of us having sex without somebody holding the camera. So he told me to put it on the timer. And I was trying to figure out the timer, and I couldn't figure it out. And so just figure it out. It was sitting on the nightstand next to the bed.
Okay. So what you're telling us is you were trying to set the timer and it went off inadvertently? Or when
Yeah.
you weren't expecting it, I guess?
Right.
Okay. Showing you Exhibit 167. Looks like it's a couple minutes later. Was this another attempt to photograph the two of you having sex?
I can't remember if we were trying to get the timer for the photo or if we were trying to do a video or what.
Okay. You mentioned trying to do a video. Was there contemplation of you and Mr. Alexander making a video that day?
Yes.
A video of what?
A video of us having sex.
When you went to Mesa, Mr. Alexander's home, did you do so with the intent of making a sex video with him?
No.
Was it your idea or Mr. Alexander's idea to make this video?
It was his idea.
To your knowledge, was that video ever made?
Yes. I think I used my Olympus.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
I had an Olympus camera that I'd had for a few years. We took it on all our trips. It had video on it. I think we ended up using my camera because we couldn't figure out the video on his or the timer or something.
And how do you know that that video was made? Did you
We
make it? Did you watch it?
We reviewed it, I believe, and then deleted it.
You deleted it that day?
Yes.
After, well, we just saw the pictures where you were attempting to take photographs or take a video of you having sex. Was this video you made of the two of you having sex, was this directly after the pictures we just saw of Mr. Alexander?
I'm sorry, will you repeat that?
Sure. We just saw the pictures of Mr. Alexander lying on the bed. You recall that?
Yes.
And you said you were trying to make a video with his camera, but you ended up making one with your camera, right?
I think.
Okay.
I had my camera too.
And what I was asking is, did that come directly after or minutes after the pictures we just saw?
It was around the same time.
Okay. So after the pictures we just saw of Mr. Alexander, what you're telling us then is that the two of you did have sexual intercourse, right?
Yes.
And you described it earlier as this plain old vanilla sex, but it was more than that, wasn't it? Because you were videotaping it, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So after you and Mr. Alec, well, let me ask you this. The photographs show that all this occurred about 1:32 in the afternoon on the 4th. Did you have an understanding at that point in time whether any of Mr. Alexander's roommates were home?
My understanding was that nobody was home during that part of the day.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to speak up, Miss
Sorry.
Arias.
My understanding was that nobody was home during that part of the day.
Okay. So after the two of you have sex that afternoon, well, let me just verify this. When you have sex that afternoon around 1:45, where do you have sex?
On his bed.
After you have sex on his bed, what do you do next?
I think we watched the video, then deleted it, and then shortly thereafter I got in the shower.
Okay. When you're taking a shower, is Mr. Alexander with you, or do you know where he is?
He's downstairs somewhere, I believe.
Okay. After you take your shower, what do you do?
I get dressed and starting to get ready to hit the road.
What does starting to get ready to hit the road mean?
Just, I don't know, just getting ready, getting dressed.
Were you
Combing my
already
hair.
packed? Did you need to pack?
I hadn't really unpacked much, just some pajamas, and then I changed my clothes. At one point, the luggage went back in the car. I don't remember precisely when.
Okay. And while you were doing this, when you're doing the things that you needed to do to get ready to leave, to your understanding, where was Mr. Alexander?
First in the kitchen, and then he was in his office.
Where was the first place?
The
Jodi?
kitchen first, and
Okay.
then his office.
When you left, you came downstairs and you were putting your luggage back in your car. If you know, where was his bedding? His sheets?
At that point, they were in the washing machine.
Do you know how they got there?
I can't remember who put them in, but I probably did.
Okay. And this was after the two of you had sex?
It would have been after. We typically wash the sheets afterward.
Okay. So you say you're packing your luggage, or you've packed your luggage in your car and you're getting ready to leave. Do you remember about what time of the day that this was when you were packing your car getting ready to leave?
I don't. It was after that. It was after 2, I'm sure, but I don't remember the exact time.
Okay. So after your car's packed and you're ready to go, you said you're dressed. Do you recall what you were wearing?
No. I don't remember exactly. I think I was wearing a tank top and some pants.
Okay. So you've got your car packed and you're ready to leave. What happens next?
I went into the office just to chill with him for a couple minutes. I had CDs that he had been asking for a while, that I kept forgetting to give to him. They were hanging out in my briefcase for months and months.
Are these music CDs, photo CDs? What are they?
They have pictures on them of our trips that we've taken together.
Okay. And so you're in the office and you're showing him these, or just describe for us what's going on?
I got the CDs out. They looked pretty scratched, which he noticed and got upset about because it was my fault that they were scratched. So he put them in his CD drive, and he was having a hard time bringing up the disk drive on his computer. He said it had a virus. He just had a hard time bringing up the CD for a minute. He kept clicking around the screensaver. When it would go to the screensaver, it was a bunch of little bugs eating up his screen.
Where were you when he was looking at these CDs?
I was laying on the floor next to his chair with Napoleon.
Okay. So you could see his computer screen, but you were on the floor.
Yeah, I could see it if I looked. I was just laying on the floor.
Okay. So when he's looking at these CDs, they're not working. You're on the floor with Napoleon. What happens next?
He finally somehow he was able to bring up the CD on his screen, and most of the images came up as little gray squares instead of photos, and probably because the CD was scratched. I assume that's why they were like that.
You said they came up as what?
They were, where the thumbnail would be, it was just like a medium to light gray square or rectangle or whatever.
Okay. So just continue. What happened? What was he doing?
He popped that CD out, and then he tried the other one, and he's mad by now because if I would have given them to him a long time ago, like I was supposed to, then they wouldn't have been scratched. So he puts that CD in and tries to bring it up too, and the same thing happens. There are a bunch of files that don't come up. Oh, the images don't, and they're just gray.
You were saying he was getting mad. Without telling us anything he said, how were you assessing that he was angry?
His tone had changed, his demeanor had changed, his movements and body language had changed.
Okay. You saw, at this point, you saw signs of anger. Is that right?
Yes.
And based on your experience with Mr. Alexander, you had seen those signs before, hadn't you?
Yes.
How were you feeling laying there on the floor watching his anger rise?
Apprehensive.
Did you get up and run out of the room?
No, I laid there for a little while, while he was doing this, and then he opened the CD, the disc, and he picked it up and he flung it at the wall, and it ricocheted off the wall and rolled off the desk and landed on my head and hit the carpet.
Now, Ms. Arias, I want to get a good sense of where you were at this point in time, showing you again what's been marked as Exhibit 36. Ms. Arias, is the area in which you were laying, is that depicted in this photograph?
Not really.
Okay. Let me show you Exhibit 40. Does that depict the area which you were laying?
It was on the other side of the desk where the shadow is. I was laying parallel to the wall.
Parallel to the wall on the
Yes.
other side?
Yes.
Or on that side? Okay.
On against that wall, sort of against the wall. I wasn't touching the wall, but I
You
was.
say that wall, could you point to where you're meaning? Is it visible?
Yes, the wall there with the outlet or whatever that thing is.
Okay. So you were laying at near the outlet.
Yes. My head was more toward the desk, and my feet were toward the door. Which would have been the other way.
Okay. So you mentioned that he throws this CD that rolls around and rolls towards you. Is that right?
Yes, it rolled off the desk and landed on me.
Okay. Were you then seeing more signs of anger at that point in time?
Yes.
Were you still apprehensive, or did apprehension move to something more when you saw more signs of anger?
Yes, it moved to more.
How would you describe that feeling?
I'm worried because I feel like the trip had gone pretty well at that point, and now he's going to get angry, or I've done something stupid again, and the whole trip is going to get ruined. And also, I know he's getting angry because Napoleon got up and left the room, and he always leaves the room when Travis gets mad.
What do you mean by the whole? You said you made a comment that the whole trip would be ruined. What do you mean by that?
It was supposed to just be a fun trip for us to hang out, kind of like old times, just get along, just relax. And everything was going fine, and then the CDs were scratched.
Okay. So the CD rolls near you. Are you at this point in time fearing that he's going to be physically aggressive with you?
I don't know that I was consciously thinking of that, but I remember just being a little more tense.
After this CD rolls by you, what happened next?
I stood up and I went to walk over to him to rub his back or something, just to make sure he was okay, and let him know that I still had the pictures on my other drive, my ACOM data drive, but I couldn't access them because that drive was not working at that time. But they were still there, I assumed, and that I would get them for him. And I was going to apologize, and he had stood up, and the chair got pushed to the side, and he spun me around and bent me over the desk and pressed up against me.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Showing you again what's been marked as Exhibit 40. Can you see this area here where my finger's pointing?
Yes.
Is that his chair?
Yes.
Okay. So when you said, and I know there's various desks in his office, but when you said you went around his desk, were we talking about this item here?
Yes, I was on the other side.
Okay. And you said he grabbed you.
Yes.
Where did he grab you?
On the upper arms, and he spun me around and then grabbed my right arm.
Okay, well then, did he grab both your arms?
Yes.
Okay. At the time he grabbed both your arms, could you see his face?
Yes.
Did you see anger in his eyes?
Yeah, he looked pissed off.
Were you scared he was going to hit you?
I wasn't thinking of that. He'd only done that one time, so I was scared he was going to throw me or something like he'd done before.
So you say he grabbed your arm and spun you around, right?
Yes.
Spun you around where?
Right on the desk.
Point to it.
We were standing right about here.
Okay. Now I want to clarify something, because you said he had only hit you one time at that point. But earlier we heard about him smacking you in the face and him kicking you. Right?
Right.
When you say he only hit you one time, but then what are you referring to?
His hands.
Okay. His hand to your face, to your body, is that what you're saying?
To my body. He didn't hit me in the face.
Okay. Just in the side of the cheek, right?
Near the face.
Near the face. Okay. All right. So he grabs you, he has a hold of you in this area here. You said he grabs your arm, one of your arms, and spins you around?
He grabbed both of my arms, spun me around, and then grabbed my right arm and twisted it behind my back.
When you say behind your back, did it hurt?
I don't remember feeling pain.
Did you feel like you could have just walked away?
Not in that particular moment, no.
Why not?
He was leaning his whole body against me, and he was kind of heavy.
He was what?
Kind of heavy.
Did you say anything? Tell him to stop, knock it off?
No.
Why not?
I didn't want to make him even more pissed off. He was...
So objecting, your feeling at that time was objecting to what he was doing to you would have pissed him off further.
It was possible. Usually when I went along with what he did, he would settle down faster.
Going along with what he did, what he wanted to do, calmed him down? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, that or groveling or something. He would get less angry quicker.
Okay. Well, based on what he did, I guess we can define what he wanted to do. What did he do when he had your arm behind your back?
He pressed his groin up against my butt.
Were you facing in the direction of this desk or against the desk in the back wall when he did this?
I was facing the first way you pointed.
Okay. You were facing the desk?
Yeah, I was bent over the other side of the desk, facing that way.
Okay. So you were bent over this side of the desk, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you said his groin area was pressed up against your buttocks, right?
Yes.
Were you wearing clothes?
Yes.
Was he wearing clothes?
Yes.
You mentioned that you were bent over this desk. How did that happen? Did he push you down, or what? How did you get into that position?
Yeah, he had my right arm and bent me over.
Okay. Was he saying anything to you? Was he telling you to do a particular thing?
I don't recall him saying... I don't recall what he said, if he said anything.
Okay. So when you're in this position, what happens next?
Well, he kind of does a few thrusts briefly, and then he starts pulling my pants down.
What was the first part of your answer?
He thrusted a few times and then started pulling my pants down.
Thrusted a few times.
Right.
What do you mean by thrusted?
He pressed his groin against me.
Okay. Against your buttocks.
Yes.
Based on that movement, did you believe that he wanted to have sex with you again?
Yes. I could feel that he had an erection.
Okay. At that point in time, did you want to have sex with Mr. Alexander?
Well, yeah, actually I did. 'Cause it was better than getting mad. I was actually relieved.
Relieved. And it was better than him being mad. What do you mean by that?
Because typically when he had sex, it was his way of de-stressing, to use his term, and then he was calmed down after that.
What was, you said you were relieved to find out that he just wanted sex. In your mind, what was the more damning alternative? What was the more concerning alternative to just having sex?
I didn't want his anger to escalate to the levels that it had in the past.
What do you mean by levels it had in the past?
His temper, his outbursts,
By outbursts, do you mean physical outbursts?
physical or just screaming either.
So you submit to this sexual intercourse as an alternative to his wrath or anger. Is that right?
That would be accurate, yes.
Okay. So after he thrusts against you, based on what you told us before, you don't say, no, don't do this, right?
No, I didn't object.
Okay. What did he then do?
We had sex again.
Did he remove your pants? Did you remove your pants?
He just got him down, like, just past my butt. I don't know. I didn't have, like, jeans or anything on.
Okay. Does he ejaculate?
Yes.
Where?
On my back. My lower back.
What's that?
On my lower back.
You mentioned him de-stressing through this process. Did that then relieve you to some degree, thinking that this was over?
What was over?
His anger?
Yes. I was very relieved. I felt like we avoided catastrophe.
Catastrophe being what?
Just it leading to another fight.
So your mindset on June 4th, 2008 was anything to avoid a fight. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, in that moment, yes.
You weren't able to avoid a fight the rest of that day, were you? Is that a yes or a no?
No. I mean, no, I was not able to avoid it.
Okay. After he ejaculates on your back. Apart from feeling relieved, do you feel used, humiliated?
I felt a little bit used when he said, "Go clean yourself up," but I didn't really dwell on that very much.
Okay. What did you do after that?
I stayed in the bathroom for a few minutes. He was still in his office doing whatever he was doing.
The bathroom, just to clarify, we talked earlier in this trial there was a bathroom upstairs. Did he have more than one bathroom?
There were 3 bathrooms in the house.
Okay. Which bathroom were you in? One upstairs or one downstairs?
Downstairs, right across from his office.
Okay. When you were cleaning yourself up, could you hear him in his office, or describe for us what you...
No, I had shut the door.
I'm sorry, just to make sure everybody heard this, did you hear Mr. Alexander while he was in his office when you were in the bathroom?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't recall hearing him. I don't recall hearing him. That's what I said.
Okay.
Sorry.
When you shut the door and cleaned yourself off, was it then your plan to leave?
I was going to say goodbye to him eventually, but we were still kind of hanging out. Now that he was in a better mood, I wanted to say goodbye, like, in a nice way. So I went back in the office and we hung out for a few minutes, and then we decided to go upstairs and do more pictures.
Well, let me ask you a question. This desk, moments before you cleaned yourself up and you went back in the office to talk to him, he had just bent you over the desk and ejaculated on your back.
Objection, asked the answer twice.
I haven't finished my question.
May continue.
Were you angry when he did that?
Objection, asked the answer.
Overruled.
At this point in time, were you angry?
No, I wasn't angry.
Your hope, you said earlier that you wanted the visit to end on a positive note, right?
Yes.
Objection, asked the answer to leave.
And this is what
There's an objection.
when you went back into the office to talk to him, was it your desire to end this trip on a happy note?
Objection, asked the answer to leave.
Approach, please. Continue.
After this so-called sex took place and you cleaned yourself up,
Objection, this characterization would have placed less sex.
Restate your question.
after he bends you over the desk and ejaculates on your back, you're still looking to end this trip on a good note, right?
Of course.
Like a foundation when, right after he did that, asked and answered.
Just clarify your question.
After he bends you over, ejaculates on your back, you go to the bathroom to clean up. You're still looking for a way to end the trip on a good note, aren't you?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
Are you looking for a way to end this trip on a positive note despite all of what he had just put you through?
Objection, leading again.
Sustained.
What are you hoping to accomplish by going in the office after he's done this to you?
I wanted us to part ways on a positive note.
What did that mean to you?
It meant him leaving not angry and me leaving not crying.
Were you crying?
No, not at that point in the day.
When you went back into the office to talk to him, was he angry?
He was a lot calmer. He wasn't angry anymore.
Okay. Did you leave then?
No.
Why not?
We decided to go upstairs and take pictures. More pictures.
You say, we decided. How did that come to pass? Was that something he wanted to do or something you wanted to do?
It's something that goes back several months.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, the Cancun trip was announced in 2007, I think right before I broke up with him. And so he assumed he was going to win this trip. And so he was getting in shape. He had bought this thing around Christmas time called Body Bug, where he measured all his calories and all the calories he took in and all the calories he burned, so that it was just simple plus and minus math so that he could lose weight. And then I think it was in February or March that he received, maybe it was April, that he received confirmation that he was going to Cancun. And so he beefed up his workout even more so that he could shed a few more pounds. The prior summer he was almost 240, and so he had lost a lot of weight, and he was down to like a little over 200. And most of it, he had gotten a lot of muscle and lost a lot of body fat. So he was very proud of his shape. His goal was to have a six-pack. He wasn't quite there, but he was close. And when he got to that point, he wanted photos taken of what he had accomplished. So since Cancun was very close, he had almost completely sculpted his body the way he wanted it. It wasn't quite to where he would have preferred, but it was very close.
Well, let me interrupt you for a minute, because you said a couple things of note. You said the Cancun trip was announced in 2007?
Yes, in June 2007.
Okay. Were you ever scheduled to accompany him on this trip to Cancun?
No.
When you drove from Pasadena to Mesa to Mr. Alexander's home, were you under the impression, did you know whom he was going with?
I was under the impression that he was taking his friend's babysitter. He owed them $2,000 or a couple thousand, and they said, if you take our babysitter, we'll call the debt even if you give the ticket to her. That's what he told me.
So there was no inclination on your part or desire or expectation or hope that you were going to go to Cancun with him in June of 2008?
No.
Okay.
Never.
You mentioned he wore a body bug. You talked about the things that it measured and that sort of thing and why he did it, but physically, where did he wear it?
On his upper arm.
Okay.
I don't remember which side.
And you saw him wear this on several occasions?
Almost all the time.
Okay. Going back to what has been marked Exhibit 167, Ms. Arias, you mentioned that he wore this body bug on his upper arm. This gray object we see here, is that his body bug?
Yes.
Okay. Now you mentioned that there had been some discussion about photographing him before his trip to Cancun because he was proud of his body, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as engaging in this particular session or photo session that day, whose suggestion was it that this take place?
I think I threw it out there that day. It's something he had been wanting to do,
Okay.
but
Was this a peace offering of sorts on your part? Why did you offer him this opportunity?
he was proud of his body, and I just wanted to do something else that would make him happy.
Was this with goal in mind of ending on a positive note?
Yeah, he didn't get the pictures he wanted, so I offered to do that. I was going to do it anyway, or he was going to at one point. It was going to happen. He wanted those photos, so I just suggested we could do it right now. It was late in the day. I wasn't going to make it to Lake Powell before sunset, so that was out of the trip. So I figured I have time now, technically. I don't have to make it to Lake Powell before sunset. So I have time.
What do you mean he didn't get the pictures that he wanted? You said he didn't get the pictures he wanted. What do you mean?
From the CDs.
Oh. So these pictures you were going to take of him because he was proud of his body, where were these pictures to be taken?
We were going to take them in the bedroom, but we decided to do it in the shower.
And were these to be taken with his camera or your camera?
My camera had just been packed, so we decided to use his camera. That way he could keep the photos and didn't have to worry about me waiting for me to give them to him.
And we mentioned earlier in the day, or you meant just a few minutes ago, really, you mentioned that he had 3 bathrooms. I just want to make sure we're clear. The shower that we're talking about, where these pictures were to take place, where was that shower located?
In the master bathroom.
This might be a good time, Judge, to...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 10:30 tomorrow morning, so be here by 10:25. Please remember the admonition. Have a nice evening. You are excused. Please be seated. The record will show the jury has left the courtroom. Ms. Arias, you may step down. Counsel, anything else before we break for the evening?
No, thank you.